Hey everyone, welcome. So you're curious about online betting in South Korea, right? Well, you've come to the perfect spot. We've gone through a ton of articles from top sources like betplace.us so you don't have to. We're going to break it all down for you. Let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, what are people actually putting their money on? This chart tells a really interesting story. Of course, you've got the big players, football and baseball, leading the charge. No surprise there. But check this out, esports. It's not just a niche thing anymore. It's a huge and growing slice of this pie. Honestly, that's the trend you really need to keep an eye on. And just to give you a sense of scale, this market is absolutely massive. We're not talking about a small underground scene. We're talking billions with a B in revenue every single year, and that's just from the official government-run platforms like Sports Toto. It just goes to show you, betting is a huge part of the sports culture here. Okay, so a multi-billion-dollar market. But how does it all work legally? This is where things get really interesting, and honestly, a little unique. South Korea has this two-track system, and once you understand it, everything else falls into place. It's the key to the whole puzzle. So, this slide lays it all out perfectly. Think of it like two different worlds. In one world, you've got the domestic, government-run sites. Super safe, totally regulated, but they're pretty limited, mostly just focusing on local sports. Then you have this other world, the international bookmakers. And guess what? They're totally legal to access from South Korea, and they open up the floodgates to way more sports, better odds, and all the cool features you hear about. So let's just boil this down to the absolute essentials. Point 1, sports betting is totally allowed under the National Sports Promotion Act. Point 2, while the government controls the local scene with Sports Toto, there's nothing stopping you from using international sites like Betway or DaFi Bet. And this is a huge but. You have to be smart about it. Sticking with licensed, reputable sites is non-negotiable. Going for some sketchy, unlicensed site, that's a huge risk and can come with some serious penalties. Just don't do it. Okay, so there are a ton of international options out there. It can feel a bit overwhelming, right? How do you possibly pick the right one and make sure you're safe? Well, don't worry. We've put together a super simple 4-point safety checklist that'll help you vet any site out there. All right, here's your game plan. It's 4 simple steps, but they're absolutely crucial. First up, verify their license and security. Look for names like Malta or Curacao. That little logo means they're being held to high standards. Second, shop around. Compare the odds and features. Why settle for less? It's your money. Third, check out their payment options. You want easy, modern methods like e-wallets or even crypto. And last, but definitely not least, test their customer support. Send them a message. If they don't get back to you quickly, that's a major red flag. Seriously, just move on. All right, now for the part you've probably been waiting for. Let's talk about the top platforms themselves. We've dug into the data from our main source, betplace.us, to really compare the heavy hitters. We're going to highlight a few of the best ones right now. But hey, if you want the full comprehensive list, we've dropped a link for you in the description.
Okay, when you lay the data out like this, something really interesting pops out. You've got sites like 1xBet and Melbet with these fantastic user scores, right? They're clearly doing a lot of things right. But then you look over at Bet365. I mean, they've been around since the year 2000. That's more than 2 decades of building a reputation. It's a classic case of new school features versus old school trust.
And just to put that old school trust into perspective, look at this number. Over 45 million active users on Bet365. That's insane. It really drives home the point that these aren't just some random websites. These are huge global companies. So let's zoom in on 1xBet. That 4.88 score doesn't come from nowhere. This site is just loaded with features. We're talking a betting exchange, live streaming, even crypto payouts. And the sheer number of sports and markets they cover is just staggering. If you're the kind of bettor who likes to have a ton of options, this is definitely one to check out. Next, let's talk about Melbet. Time and time again, this site comes up as a really trusted and reliable choice. They've been in the game since 2012, so they've built a solid reputation. Plus, they have great features people love, like cash-out options and really slick mobile apps for both Android and iOS. And then we have Pinnacle. Now, I know what you're thinking. You see that 3.01 score and you're like, wait, why is this one here? Well, here's the inside scoop. Pinnacle is the go-to for serious pro-level bettors. Why? Because they offer some of the absolute best odds and highest betting limits you can find anywhere. It's not for everyone, but for the pros, it's a game changer. So, feeling like you've got a handle on things and maybe you're ready to dip your toes in? Awesome. Let's quickly run through how you can get started safely. It's super easy. Okay, it really just comes down to 3 simple steps. First, you create your account. You know, the usual registration stuff and verifying your ID. Second, you make a deposit. A quick tip here, using an e-wallet like Skrill or NetTeller is usually the fastest and easiest way to go. And the third and maybe most important step, before you grab that welcome bonus, always read the fine print. Check those terms and conditions so you know exactly what you're getting into. When you boil it all down, it really comes back to this one core idea. The site you pick is everything. It's not just about getting good odds. It literally shapes your entire experience, your safety, your security, and frankly, how much fun you're going to have.
So, we've covered a lot of the big picture stuff today, but if you want to go deeper, maybe read some full reviews or get direct links to the sites we talked about, we've put all of that for you right in the description. Go check it out.
And that's a wrap. The big takeaway here is pretty clear. The betting market in South Korea is packed with opportunity. You just have to know how to navigate it the smart way. Which leaves us with a really exciting question to think about. With esports growing at lightning speed, what on earth is the future of betting in South Korea going to look like? It's definitely going to be interesting to watch.